I am 99% sure that Milton Berle did not show his wedding tackle to Chevy Chase and Chevy Chase's girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like, wait a minute, what?
I mean, Lorne, 90 minutes of live television by a group of 20-year-olds who've never made anything. Do you ever stop and wonder why they said yes? A counterculture show starring total unknowns.
Hi, welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
And I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we're going to be talking about the 2024 Jason Reitman film, Saturday Night. So Saturday Night follows the 90 minutes, the chaotic 90 minutes leading into the first episode ever of SNL and all the shenanigans that kind of ensued. And I want to ask you, I mean, we both saw this for the first time, obviously.
Right.
It came out a couple weeks ago, almost 50 years to the day that it premiered, because it was October 11, 1975.
74 it came out.
74?
Yeah.
And then it came out October 11th, 2024. So I have to ask, I never saw season 1 of the show. You know, I started watching it in that Will Ferrell kind of Chris Kattan era.
Right, which was great.
Yeah,
I'm a Tracy Morgan fan.
Yeah, Tracy Morgan. You know, that was a good time period. Yeah. But did you actually see...
Also, the Eddie Murphy time period was over the top.
Yeah, I mean, all the greats have gone through this show. Like
Many.
Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, obviously Chevy Chase.
Chris Farley,
John Belushi. You know, so many people.
Originals,
Yeah, so it's amazing.
I wanted more Lorraine Newman, you know?
Yeah.
I liked her at the time.
Well, I was going to ask, so did you see the very first episode when it premiered?
It's a great question, and this is extemporaneous, people. Like, I didn't know he was going to ask me that, but why did I see that? What made me like hip to that was going to be on, and I should watch it because I did.
Okay.
But I, for the life of me, can't imagine why. Like how, like what was the communication where it was like, oh, you got it, because it was late at night, but I was young, you know, I was 19, so. I thought back about it and it's like, how did I even know about this? You know, it was kind of like Monty Python was at that time, and Monty Python was something completely different. That was their tagline, right? Get ready for something completely different.
Yeah. And
somehow somebody must have told me. I mean, it wasn't like the internet or anything. We didn't have any of that. So it had to be like literally somebody told me. It's like, there's going to be like a fantastic, funny thing. And I don't even remember liking it or not liking it. Like, I know I watched it, and then I watched it every time. Like, it was a thing like you had to. It was like when Seinfeld was on, and you watched every week. They had, like, Seinfeld parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know I was like, I had to be there for it. I had to be there. And it was a weird thing to have to be home Saturday night. Because otherwise, you know.
You'd be out.
I was like, I don't want to be there, you know, watching TV at that hour. But that was the case, you know. And most of the skits were like juvenile and stupid, you know, like you saw John Belushi in the Bumblebee thing, right, with the antennas going like this, and, you know. And at the time, I was like, is this just good or just stupid or whatever? But I certainly remember everything. But I really enjoyed it. I watched it religiously, and when it had the first metamorphosis, where the original 7. Like they added, like Chevy Chase was the first one to leave, and the other people started to come in, and it was like, no, you're ruining the whole thing.
Right.
I had no way of knowing that it would be a 50-year legacy, and there would be literally those guys like when Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo joined at the same time. It was like a whole new show then.
Yeah, right.
The kind of humor and where the humor went, and that happened like. In my viewing, 4 or 5 times throughout history where somebody came along and, like you said, Chris Farley, and who was the little girl that was always the cheerleader one? Cherry O'Terry.
Cherry O'Terry. Yeah, Cherry O'Terry.
It's like, look at these 2 jackasses. You know, I mean, look at them.
So you saw the first episode. How did it compare to the moments of the first episode that they portrayed in the movie? You know, because I never saw it, and I was hoping to find that first episode and watch it before I saw the film, so I like kind of had a better sense of where it was going, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think the bumblebees were on
the actual first episode, right?
I think that came later.
Yeah,
you know, the same thing, the samurai dry cleaner and stuff. Like he's got to kill himself every the customer. I'm not happy. There's a button missing. Oh, he's going to commit suicide, right? But the movie Saturday Night. Is really fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie because it's manic. Everything is maniac. And I had just watched Megalopolis like the week before, And
Still need to
that's
see that.
made the same way. Like there's constant bombardment of action, like light, sound, light, jokes, comments, interactions.
The camera constantly tracking everyone through the chaos.
Editing nightmare.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the Saturday night it was that same editing, like what are all these props? Lights were falling from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'm sure none of that really happened.
Right.
And I am 99% sure that Milton Berle did not show his wedding tackle to Chevy Chase and Chevy Chase's girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There might have had a little artistic license in creating that scene.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of that throughout, but I don't know. Sometimes with some of these older cats back in the day, in the entertainment industry, you never know. That could have been perfectly normal to those.
Each and every one of those actors that portrayed those characters was really good. And I didn't buy it at first. Mm-hmm. Like it went like, that guy's not John Belushi. It was like,
yeah,
kind of. And the one, Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin, the ones that did
so good.
That girl that imitated Jane Curtin doing the like, hi, I'm Jane Curtin. Like it was like, wow. But I was very happy with every actor, especially the guy who imitated Garrett Morris, because he was really the true singer. And when he did that scene for Willem Dafoe, right? Willem Dafoe is like the dry guy who he wants to cancel the show.
Yeah.
And when the guy imitating Garrett Morris said, we got to get a shotgun and kill the whitey, kill the whitey, get the shotgun and kill the whitey. He was just like,
yeah, I did love that reveal when you don't even, or do we know that they're all there watching, or I think it's just Willem Dafoe? But then there's a point where he like turns around and it's like all the executives,
a giant wall of mafia,
just all the suits are there, just watching them. Oh, Lorne Morris was the actor that did that. I did like that. I liked his part of the story too. It's like a few of the characters, we get some insight into just what they're dealing with at that time, and for him, I think was maybe the most interesting because it's this kind of identity crisis of like, well, why am I here? I'm a singer and like I'm not a comedian. I'm not quick. Like you see how just quick and fast Chevy Chase is.
Right.
And that dude also was like, did a great portrayal of him. Like
the physical humor.
Yeah.
The physical, would just throw himself on the ground.
But the way he speaks too, like he had the voice down, like the cadence and everything. And you see how quick-witted he is. And even Dan Aykroyd, another great portrayal. And, I just love.
I wanted to see Bass-O-Matic.
I'm not familiar with that. Is that one of the?
Yeah, that's where they had a blender, and he comes on. It's like one of those late night commercials, that you see, and this is Bass-O-Matic. Well, you're going to prepare a bass. You don't want to put it on a barbecue or something. Just put a giant fish in the blender. Bass-O-Matic.
Yeah.
Then he drinks. That's good bass, And, oh my God, I was waiting to see it, but they didn't do that because it was up to the first episode. For me, that was too manic, like the thing where they're putting the bricks in the stage,
right.
And it was cool that they portrayed Billy Preston with the band.
Yeah.
That was, and his character was another over the top. Like that was a great part that's probably underappreciated because he wasn't one of the seven and he wasn't Lorne Michaels.
Yeah.
Or Dick Ebersol, which the Dick Ebersol guy was, oh man.
Which one was he again?
He was the one that hated the show. He was like working on the show, but he's like, you realize this isn't going to work. They don't want this. They're going to just cancel. This is just a place. They're just trying to negotiate with Johnny Carson for more money. They're putting this in like a fake show that we're going to have.
Yeah.
This isn't real.
I did really like that scene when he's finally coming down on Lorne Michaels about that.
Right.
And of course, Lorne Michaels is like, no, you're crazy. They're paying all of us. We're here.
Right.
They're putting money to it. And he has to break it down like, this is just a drop in the bucket for them, and they make more money, playing reruns of Johnny Carson. This is just here to fail and all that. That was a great little dialogue, like just in the stairwell, just the two of them. And
because Lorne Michaels was just under so much pressure. All of the players were lunatics.
Yeah.
They're all going, it's like they say herding cats.
Right.
It's like, where is this guy now? Where did he go? People were just coming and going and they had union problems. It was like, you want my lighting guys to, like
trying to get Belushi to sign the contract,
right,
and he just doesn't want to do it. Another great moment was when, man, I feel bad because I can't remember the actor's name, but the one you were talking about.
I know, and we don't have the other screen now. Maybe in B-Reel.
I'll throw it in there.
Because we used to point like,
Yeah.
You know, I need that.
But I know that actor is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So and he was in Licorice Pizza. That was his debut, I think. So it's cool to see him in the game. And when he's trying to get them to sell the Polaroid camera, and I like that Lorne Michaels just like, no, we're not going to be ads. We're not.
I have
doing
a picture,
that.
right? They had the cast picture, like the seven of them. Like, I have a camera.
But
right?
there's that great scene where it feels like they finally got Belushi on. Like he's probably going to sign the contract. And from the distance, he sees him go to him with the camera, trying to press it on him to use it. And then he just storms out, and it's all away nonsense. From him. And the George Carlin too. I had no idea that George Carlin was the first host of SNL, and it just talking about that gets the lockjaw, and it's just like so mean, grits, so mean to everyone. I did see an interview with him talking about that experience and how it seems from what he saw. I mean, obviously that interview was from like decades ago, but
and a perfect guy, like the ultimate comedian. At that time, there was nobody in his league.
Yeah, love George Carlin, but how it sounds like hearing him in this interview that's probably pretty accurate. How he was like, yeah, I'm not an actor. This isn't what I do, and I'm not playing with all this. He's like, I just want to come out.
Everything was so
monologues.
unscripted.
Yeah, he's everything
was so. It was like, no, it'll be okay. We'll just do anything.
Yeah, and he even brought up, he's like, I was on a lot of cocaine and this and that, and he's like, I wasn't treating people very well, and I think like he was very honest about it in the interview. So it seems like that portrayal isn't unfair, The
other thing that I didn't remember, I loved Andy Kaufman when he did the Mighty Mouse song, but that wasn't in the first episode. At least I don't think. I think that came much later. Yeah, but the actor was a little tall. Playing Andy Kaufman, that was a little bit kind of not right. But when he put the needle on there, and Willem Dafoe is looking at him, and then he does the "Here I come to save the day," and you just see Willem Dafoe going like,
but everyone's eating.
What are these people? And that was the thing. They had the insane audience.
Yeah,
everybody in the audience was all cranked, and they all wound. So they were going nuts with everything that happened.
Yeah.
And because nobody knew that this was Saturday Night Live.
Right.
There was no way to understand. So they dragged these people in off the street and stuff and threw them up to studio audience. And it was 11:30 on Saturday night. They were mostly drunk.
Yeah.
They were with their girls. They were with their, and they were there to have a good time. They were there to go nuts, and they did. And it really showed. I thought it was a really, really fun movie.
Yeah.
And, of course, Jason Reitman, the Ghostbuster guy, he's the perfect guy to do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like a legacy. Like, he had to, there were a few others that could have, but picking him was the right thing to do. And he made the most manic, the most cranked up, the most crank speed, coked up, 8-ball thing you could possibly, And the thing that Lorne Michaels was so tortured, but he kept the faith.
Yeah.
He kept the faith, no matter what anybody said or did. And I loved it when he said to Willem Dafoe, "Don't you recognize genius when you see it?" Like, because he had just said the same thing.
Right, yeah.
Right. So he turned it right around on him like, this is going to be great. How could you not know that? This is genius. Don't you see it? I know it when I see it. And
I thought in that moment, and it's funny too how they're playing him, how Willem Dafoe's character on purpose in the beginning is talking to him about
flipped.
like, yeah, you got it, and
he flipped. He's stabbing him in the back. And that reinforced the fact that it was made to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, no, make your thing, get the shiv, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, make your thing, And then at the end, like, that was so great when the clock was counting down and he said, kill the Johnny Carson rerun, go live.
Yeah.
And it was bang. Chevy Chase really bailed him out. Like, he came out and did the first monologue thing.
Yeah. I thought for sure that as that rerun tape was kind of rolling, that they were going to go that route. And I thought Lorne Michaels was going to go and rip the tape out.
Yeah, right.
Like, just destroy it
so they couldn't go there.
Yeah, so they had to go live and just kind of force it on them, because I think there's a part earlier when Willem Dafoe's first hyping him up where he says, don't let anyone get in your way, not even me. I thought it was going to call back to that moment.
Yeah.
Of like, well, you're not stopping me now,
Right, as he destroyed the tape recorder or something. But that didn't happen. I said, I felt the same thing. I said, that thing's going over the bank.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's,
Yeah.
But they played it out, and it came on, and wowee. And I remember watching it religiously, and I don't remember how I started. And it was a real thing for me to see that and think of that. And it was like, well, you're going to like this. This is going to be, but how did we know ahead of time? It could have bombed the first night. It could have been like, this was totally,
It's a really good question because, it's not like there would have been a trailer or a TV spot for it because it didn't exist yet. There was nothing. You just, I guess, happened to catch it. And like they even portray them, like you said, pulling people off the streets, like, hey, free show, just come up, free show tonight. And it's pretty amazing.
I remember a friend of mine going like, did you see that? I'm going like, yeah, I don't know what that was all about. That was a really, probably pretty high, and it was like, yeah, well, we'll watch it again. We'll watch it next week or something.
I never knew that Billy Crystal was almost going to be on the show.
Oh, he was an original cast member?
Yeah.
He was slated to be an original cast member?
Yeah, and they cut him out in the final hour.
Yeah, right. They showed that.
Yeah,
right?
They have all of a sudden, he's talking to I don't even remember who the other woman was, but it's all right. Can you cut your bit down to 3 minutes? All right, we can't go beyond that. But immediately when that question came up and he's like, can you do it? And he's like, no. And she's like, yeah, I can do it.
Right. Yeah, she was Lorne Michaels' girl. Lorne Michaels' girlfriend, she was the grounded one, right? Like no matter what happened, she stayed calm.
Yeah, right.
She's like, it's all going to be smooth. We're going to do it. Like even when Bellucci like ran off to the ice skating rink and stuff, it's like, I'll go get him. I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, John, you having fun? Yeah, time to come back.
Yeah.
And she was so maternal that way. And
in the theater, there was one, like an older gentleman sitting behind me. And I wish I could watch the movie from his perspective because he's clearly someone who is a big SNL fan and probably also saw the first episode when it aired and all that. Because every little detail that happened or name that was drawn, or there even, like
he was going like, yes,
like, yeah, and like laughing and just like, oh my God, and wow, and like that's him and that's this guy, like all through, like even stuff I didn't know about because there's a lot of long kind of tracking shots when they're going through the studio and just through the hallways from room to room and all this, and a lot of crowds of people and everyone bugging Lorne Michaels, like everyone's got questions.
Oh, and the pettiest, stupidest things.
Yeah, and just like, someone in a random costume would walk by and this dude would have a big reaction, or even when he goes to the bar and he meets that guy at the bar that's like writing the jokes for the
writer.
And he hires him and he like, I don't know who that is. I don't know the name, but this dude had like such a big reaction and was so excited by it. And I'm like, man, I'm just like, I'm hyped just because you're so hyped on this. It makes me wish I knew all the details,
What I try to do when that happens to me, I try to catch that guy on the way out.
Oh, yeah?
And say, hey, what do you think of the movie?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a kid movie. Like it's one of those like the Hunger Games, right? I get a couple of teenagers. I get it, how did you like this? And I love hearing how big of a fan that they are. The same thing like with the Road Warrior movie and stuff, right? Like they know everything about it. Like they know the history, they know where stuff's coming from, and they tell you. And then it gives me it kind of makes me happy. Because sometimes I don't know. I'm not a Hunger Game fan guy. I think I saw the first one and the last one.
Yeah.
But in between things happen. There's like 5 of them. I would be that way with Star Trek, where I knew every stupid detail. But it's cool to see people that they're into it a different reason, or they have a different perspective, like you said, or more knowledge about the subject. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I know we rate these movies, and this was certainly not a great movie for all time or anything like that. Yeah. I'm going to kind of go 5 or 6 on it because it was fun.
Yeah.
It was undeniably, if you didn't know the history, it would be kind of incomprehensible, like when the big moment comes, because the end of the movie is the beginning of the show.
Yeah. Right.
So you don't get to actually see much of the show. To me, it's certainly not a theater movie. It's something you watch at home on Saturday night.
Okay.
Right? You're stuck home, whatever it is. You got your arm in a sling. You put that on, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. That's how I feel. How did you feel?
I really enjoyed it. I loved the energy, loved all the actors, all the portrayals. I love movies about making movies and making shows, about production. I love that kind of stuff. So it definitely has a soft spot for me on that. And shot on 60 millimeter film. I love that as well because I'm a camera nerd. And I'm gonna rank it or rate it I'm gonna say 6.5 because I do really like it as well.
Yeah.
But it's not in like the upper echelon. I feel like 7 is like a crossing point into greatness for me on my scale.
It's not The Godfather. It's not The Man Who Would Be King. It's not, something like that. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jason Reitman, Ghostbusters that was an iconoclastic movie that he made, right?
Yeah. Ivan Reitman. So Jason Reitman is his son.
Right.
Who did Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. That's a faux pas. I said that earlier, right? He would be the one because he's only like 45 years old or something, right? So, he couldn't have possibly done that.
But it's cool. I like that because he's clearly somebody who has some form of history in this through his father, and appreciates
probably met all those people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, that's a wrap on this, everyone. Be sure to go check out Saturday Night. It's well worth watching. And check us out next week.
See you then.